Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hi there. You know what I got for Valentine's Day? I got stood up. Chris Potter emailed me early this morning and to tell me that there's some kind of a case, a hearing going on as we speak. Or actually started at 9 o'clock, on a story that he's been covering. And so he's doing his journalistic duty. There's some chance that he'll be popping in later during the program, but at this point we are bereft. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys. There's a poor frozen soul sitting outside on the corner on Smithfield Street, bundled up. He looks like a homeless person, but I know he's not. He's sitting on a little crate, and he's all bundled up, and he's trying to sell roses. And it's, he's snowing, and it seemed an incongruous scene. He did not look happy. Oh, I don't know. Valentine's Day is one of those obligatory holidays that annoys me, so I just, I'm done speaking now of Valentine's Day. Okay. Well, let's see. It's a Friday, the 14th, and of February, but I guess having spoken Valentine's Day, that's fairly obvious. Anyway, I got to tell you, reading the papers today, there was a theme that kept sort of popping up out of various places. Stories that in and of themselves were not linked together, but should have been. And they all have to do with our need for energy, our reluctance to move to alternative sources, and the consequences of continuing to get our energy by invading Mother Earth. So we have the story of the 21 freight cars leaving the track in Vandergrift yesterday. And it's funny, as I read the local story in the Post-Gazette, it just didn't seem like that big a deal. Then I read the New York Times story, and it seems like a much bigger deal. And I think it's because the Times saw it as yet another story and these stories seem to be coming at a faster and faster pace. Or else we just have a little anomaly, a cluster, if you will, of these stories of spills and explosions and dumps and derailments. So at the moment here in our neck of the woods, we've got this natural gas fire still burning, essentially out of control. And we have the guys, the experts shipped in from Texas, who have been here now for a few days attempting to cap that. That one killed somebody. Then you have yesterday's train derailment in Vandergrift. And 19 of those cars were carrying oil. 4 of those cars spilled between 3,000 and 4,000 gallons of oil. 2 other derailed cars held liquid petroleum gas. The Federal Railroad Administration is on the scene. But this is just the latest accident in what is either, as I said, just a strange cluster or a heads up where trains carrying crude oil derail. And we know that in some instances, those derailments and those resulting spills have caused serious pollution and death. Now, it was about a week ago, I think, that there was another derailment in Pennsylvania, the other end of the state, right smack dab in the middle of Philadelphia. And that was a CSX train, also hauling crude oil. It almost, I mean, boy, were they lucky there. It almost went over a bridge. It could have been a really true disaster. But because it wasn't, we didn't make a big deal about it. But the New York Times saw fit to pull all of these instances together and to remind us also that not too long ago, a train carrying oil in North Dakota derailed, and that one exploded. And then you have the horrifying derailment in Quebec, that killed 47 people. Because that derailment happened at a unfortunate place, which was a little town where people lived, and 47 of them died because of that. The derailment in Vandergrift was also uncomfortably close to a populated area, as was obviously the one in Philadelphia. So it's good to tie some of this together to get a sense of, again, I just keep thinking we're all whistling past the graveyard on this stuff. You get a spill like you got in West Virginia, and obviously that thing is still causing incredible concern for the people affected, the hundreds of thousands of people affected by that spill. So when it comes to all these chemicals we can't live without, and the gas that we can't live without, sometimes there's just this obvious sort of a tap on our back saying, hey, guys, do you see the danger you're playing with here? Yeah, I think we do, but we just as soon not note it. There's a growing focus on the fact that, again, our infrastructure is just not up to the task of transporting all this stuff. And our regulations are not up to snuff in this regard either. So start adding that stuff up, and you get the sense that someone's trying to tell us something. Also, just to add to the cluster, another story that's going on is the feds have begun a criminal investigation into a huge spill of coal ash into the Dan River in North Carolina. And that totally just polluted that river with tons and tons of toxic sludge. So we got grand juries looking into it. We've got the DEA looking into it. They're seeking to see how much oversight there is of the coal ash dumps in North Carolina. See, a lot of these states don't believe in much regulation. We live in one of those. And then one of these things happens, and people start saying, why don't there have to be this? Why shouldn't there be a limit on that? And again, we don't think of these things till something horrific happens. The Associated Press reported that environmental groups had sued 3 times under the Clean Water Act to force the energy company that is responsible for this particular spill, Duke Energy, to force it to clear out its leaking coal ash dumps. And every time that happened, the state of North Carolina managed to block the lawsuits. So when you have these acquiescent governments, which we certainly have in Pennsylvania, governments that are in bed with the oil companies and the coal companies, you as a person living in that environment cannot expect a measure of safety that rationally we should be able to expect, I think. But then, what do I know? And then the other story that adds to it is this report that I guess just came out yesterday, which just blows holes in what a lot of cities are doing to prevent pollution, air pollution, and global warming. And that is by switching their buses from diesel fuel to natural gas. We've been told a million times natural gas is cleaner. It's a much better idea, and so you see buses in Pittsburgh and other cities happily trumpeting the fact that this bus is running on whatever, and this is running on that, and we are being good stewards of our environment. Uh-oh. A new report to be published today in the journal Science says that switching buses and trucks from diesel to natural gas could actually be harming the climate, the planet's climate, and doing exactly the opposite of what we thought we were doing. So they say that, yes, burning natural gas as a transportation fuel produces less carbon dioxide emissions than diesel does. Yes, and that's what we were going on all over the country when we thought this is what we'll do. We'll stop the diesel and go to the natural gas. But the study showed that the drilling and production of natural gas can lead to leaks of methane and methane is 30 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So we stop the carbon dioxide, or we lessen the carbon dioxide emissions, but apparently just through ordinary kind of leakage in the process of extracting and producing the natural gas, there's more methane produced into the environment, and that's worse. So the studies show that those methane leaks essentially negate the climate change benefits of using natural gas as a transportation fuel. Now, this is something that turns everything bang around. The and leaves environmentalists, with their mouths hanging open or their hair being ripped from their heads. The study, however, does say that switching from coal-fired power plants, which is the largest source of carbon dioxide pollution in this country, to natural gas-fired power plants will still lower. When you do the arithmetic there, you still come up with that is a good thing to do. So natural gas doesn't look as good as we thought, and coal continues to look as bad as we thought. So natural gas emits just half the carbon pollution of coal, and even factoring in the methane release from the production, yada, 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 natural gas-fired plants still lead to less emissions than coal over time. I don't know, guys. Oh, yeah, Anthony is remembering the derailment in Bloomfield, right near the busway. There's on the East Busway, there are train tracks next to it, and there was a nasty derailment there, sort of underneath Bloomfield. I remember the scrambling that went on. Because I was working in news at that time, and I believe a number of people were evacuated in Bloomfield because of the potential dangers there. So yeah, but there's really been a spate, I guess would be the word, of these kinds of derailments. And you have to ask yourself, are the tracks being properly maintained? Again, infrastructure. Is there a safer way to transport this stuff? When I'm on the busway and a train comes by, it is amazing how most of the cars often, some of these trains, are clearly holding gas. Just one after the other, and then that train wends its way down here right into the downtown. Imagine a derailment right down here by the convention center, where the trains cross the river. Again, and we're just whistling past our graveyard. Hey, I'm going to take a break here, but before I do, I just want to, I know it's Valentine's Day. I always said happy Valentine's Day, but it's also someone's birthday. It's actually more than somebody's birthday. But I happen to know of one person whose birthday it is, and her husband has asked that I say happy birthday to her, and so I shall. Kelly! Kelly, Russ asked me to say happy birthday. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, give him a kiss. We'll be back.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win tickets to see Cirque du Soleil's Veracai at Peterson Event Center on March 28th. Plus, lots of great free stuff every week. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Moments in Black History, brought to you by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.
Alpha Phi Alpha was the first black Greek fraternity. Founded in 1906 at Cornell University, it was first organized as a study group. 2 years later, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority was founded at Howard University. A majority of the existing African-American Greek organizations emerged shortly thereafter, including Omega Psi Phi, Delta Sigma Theta, Kappa Alpha Psi, Phi Beta Sigma, and Zeta Phi Beta. Each of these organizations has programs that allows their members to contribute to the African-American community in the form of college scholarships, youth programs, leadership conferences, inner-city building projects, and a number of other programs.
I've seen too many of my neighbors affected by stroke. But Highmark is helping us change that by sponsoring our community stroke programs. Caring isn't new for Highmark. I know. I've been a member for 40 years. I'm Jerry Ann Allen, and I'm better with Blue.
We're reinventing affordable health care by keeping the places we call home healthy. It's why our communities are better with Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield is an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, subject to the terms of your benefit plan.
Dr. John Chips.
And I'm Dr. Tim Chips. We have a family dental practice that's been in business for over 35 years.
We have 2 locations in the North Hills.
No insurance? No problem. We have a new patient special that includes an exam, cleaning, and x-rays for just $99. Find Chips Dental on the web. Remember, Chips Dental.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Hello. Okay. There is the most extraordinary piece in the Wall Street Journal today in the op-ed section. I've often said that I don't read the Wall Street Journal editorial page, and that's true. I do scan it. I steel myself and I look at headlines. That's about as much as I can do. Every once in a while I'll read a letter or something. And I'm always reminded of why I don't read it. God. But so today they published something which just blows my mind. It's called A Little Valentine's Day Straight Talk. And this thing could have been written for the Ladies' Home Journal, 1921. Okay, listen to this. I'm not going to subject you to all of it. And here and there's like a point made that I can see arguing a little bit, but overall, this is, I think, jaw-dropping. You might think otherwise, but feel free to let me know that. It's written by Susan Patton. And she writes, despite all of the focus on professional advancement, she's talking to young women. She's addressing, because she starts, smarten up, ladies, she says. I should have started there. Smarten up. And Jess, she's especially talking to you. She ain't talking to me. I'm too far gone. Despite all the focus on professional advancement, for most of you, the cornerstone of your future happiness will be the man you marry.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, Jess!
I
have to, okay, can I say what you just said? Because you said it. Jess just said, first of all, she said, shut up. And then she thought of it a little longer and said, shut the fuck up.
Oh, my God.
You do not think the most important, that
Absolutely not.
you do not, the cornerstone of your happiness will be the man you marry? Oh, see. Well, you just listen. I'm not done with you. This is Susan Patton talking to you. You're not getting any younger. Get this one. This sentence, I almost fell out of bed. I was reading this in bed. Okay. You're not getting any younger, but the competition for the men you'd be interested in marrying most definitely is. So at your age, you're not even 30 years old, she is telling you, clock's ticking, lady, and you know the guys you're interested in, guess what? There's girls now 5-6 years younger than you, and they're looking better than you are, baby. So here's what she says. Think about it. If you spend the first 10 years out of college focused entirely on building your career, when you finally get around to looking for a husband, you'll be in your 30s and you'll be competing with women in their 20s. That's not a competition in which you're likely to fare well. Jess is literally, this was the Wall Street Journal today. I'm just getting warmed up here.
Oh my God, I'm so angry.
Yeah, this is just pissing her off beyond belief. Okay. You should be spending, I'm reading again, you should be spending far more time planning for your husband than for your career. And you should start doing so much sooner than you think. And get this sense, wow, those men who are as well educated as you are often are interested in younger, less challenging women. If I were a man, this would upset me greatly. What is this saying? What is this saying? When she says, she's telling women what women have been told to dumb down. Don't be too smart. Don't be too capable. Don't be too successful because the men won't like you. I cannot believe this is being printed in today's paper, but there it is in the Wall Street Journal. You think I'm done? Here's another great line, Jess. And if you start to earn more than he does, forget about it. Very few men have egos that can endure what they will see as a form of emasculation. I have to tell you, I am dumbfounded by this. Jess is enraged. I'm, and that's a proper reaction, beyond belief. And I'm still not done. This is unbelievable, this piece. Yeah, caller, go ahead.
Hey, Lynn, this is Mike from D.C.
Hi, Mike.
I think it's even worse than that. That woman's telling other women to want somebody that doesn't want them.
That's right.
When you told this story about these guys aren't going to want Jess or whomever, well, then who the fuck wants them?
Exactly right. Would any self-respecting woman want a man who would be emasculated by her success or into anybody with with fewer years on them, a little bit less wear and tear or something? I mean, that's why I was saying, if you were a man, this is so offensive to men too. The sense of what men want and who men are, and that their egos are so fragile.
And there's also the point about it's a woman's job to trap a man.
Yeah.
And how Jess can trap a man is to do it when she's young and cute. Because when she's not young and cute, she's not going to have power over a man to get him to do what she wants in her evil deeds.
Yeah.
It's total bullshit.
Of course it is.
Total bullshit.
Of course it is. Thank you.
And I'm not even a woman.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye. And then she goes on to tell women that this is the reason you go to college, to find a man. Now, what's so amazing to me about this was the mindset when I went off to college. But folks, that was a long time ago. I can't do the math real fast, but like maybe 50 years ago. God, was it 50 years ago? No. I mean, and the women's movement hadn't made itself known in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that's for sure. And my sense is that I was going to be going off to college, and that my job there was to do well and to find a mate. And I think that's how girls went off to college. Find a mate. Because you weren't going there to prepare for a career. I wasn't. And anyway, the careers that were open to a woman, at least in my world, were careers I didn't want. I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a secretary. And I didn't want to be a nurse or a librarian. Anybody think of anything else? That was about it. I mean, I didn't have the imagination to think of anything beyond that. Every woman I knew, all the mothers I knew, were housewives. They didn't have jobs. I remember feeling it was sort of astonishing that one of my friends, her father was missing in action, I don't know, and her mother worked. I never heard of a mother working. I was living in 1950s Donna Reed, Father Knows Bestville. But that's what this mindset is the exact same. Listen to this. Okay, so what a girl goes to college for is to find a mate. And then she just flat out tells you this in case you didn't know it. So, what's a smart girl to do? Start looking early and stop wasting time dating men who aren't good for you. College is the best place to look for your mate. It is an environment teeming with like-minded, age-appropriate men with whom you already share many things. Then she goes on to say, when you find a good man, don't have sex with him. Men won't buy the cow if the milk is free. Then she says, if you fail to make a match in college, then you're getting into a danger zone. So, Jess, I'm sorry, dear, but you are in the danger zone. Can you meet, she says, brilliant, marriageable men after college? Yeah, but just not that many of them. Once you're living off campus and in the real world, you'll be stunned by how smart the men are not. So she's saying if you don't trap a man in college, once you get out there, you won't find him because smarter women than you have already claimed them. And there's just nothing but losers out there. Some truth in that, by the way. And then she just says, fine if you don't want marriage, but if you do, you better avoid falling for the politically correct feminist line that has misled so many young women for years. Wall Street Journal. It all makes sense because this is the paper that triumphs and trumpets the Republican Party line. And this is what people who subscribe or ascribe to that point of view also think about women and men. Don't be too smart. Don't let yourself get too old. Don't let yourself earn too much or be too successful because, honey, you ain't gonna get a guy then. Susan Patton. Of course, she has a book coming out in March called Marry Smart. I really didn't think I'd recover after I read that. So, I mean, Jess, are you still angry?
Yes, I'm angry.
You're angry? I can't imagine many. I bet this gets
Is she married?
Is she married? Oh, I'm sure she is. I don't know if she's married, but I'm sure she is. She thinks it's the be-all and end-all, but this is an oddly... And the headline, A Little Valentine's Day Straight Talk. Young women... Listen to this! Young women in college need to smarten up and start husband hunting. Good God Almighty. Is there a caller there? Mm-hmm. Oh, hi.
Hi, Lynn. It's Mary.
Mary?
Weighing in my 2 cents.
All right. You can
I
have.
do think this is really offensive, but there's an element of truth to it.
Okay. What's the truth?
All of my friends who are successful and single have a really, really hard time finding anyone. And I think, social media and texting has just taken down courtship another notch. Men are all about the minimal effort. Whatever they can get away with, that's what they're going to do.
So this woman's sort of what I think is a very negative view of men that we're all supposed to be desperately looking to catch. You sort of share it.
I do share it. There is not much out there to work with. God bless.
How old are you?
I am 46.
And are you married?
I've been married for over 20 years. But
okay.
If I was not married today, I don't even think I'd try.
So, why is that? I mean, the men you see. So, what does you don't have that contempt for your own husband, do you?
No, he's great. In fact, when he asked me out, 26 years ago, it was in person to my face. I mean, there was a relationship developed there. Now everyone just texts, do you want to do something? Do you want to hang out? And people don't even really know if they're dating each other.
Well, that's true. I don't even think they think of it as a date.
Right. And it's sad, and I wish we as women would demand more and expect more.
Well, it ain't going to happen. But
it's not.
No, but I hear what you're saying. And I actually speak as an accomplished, powerful, seemingly powerful single woman of, myself. And I ain't looking now, but I was looking in Pittsburgh in my 30s and 40s. And it was a barren landscape.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you're young, it's hard. I don't understand what went wrong, but something went askew.
Okay, I'm hearing you. Okay,
thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah. I mean, if you look, and it was true. I mean, I'd look over at the newsroom at Channel 4, and most of the women, and they were, smart, pretty, successful, and none of them were married. We weren't married. And the few that were married to deadbeats. Sorry. And they were supporting them. So, yeah, that's why I said I could write something like this, but it wouldn't be, no, I mean, again, as Mike said from D.C., no self-respecting woman would dumb down for a guy. No self-respecting woman would want a man who is always looking over her shoulder for something younger. And so all of the stuff that this Susan Patton trots out is just, it's offensive. It's offensive to me as a woman. But what Mary brings up, I think marriage might in some respects be sort of doomed. In terms of where we're heading. Because young people too, will think, what is the point of it? We've already gotten pretty much over this sense that you have to marry to have children, right? I'm part of that too. I have a child. I was not married. And I think more and more and more people will choose to be single. It's the guys who aren't going to want to be single. Because boys and men love someone taking care of them, much more than women do. Because women are usually the caregivers. And I just think that women will say, screw it, and I don't know. Maybe, we're heading for something different. Whether or not there's something... I think a good marriage, a really good marriage of two people, is a wonderful way to live one's life if you're party to that kind of a partnership. Obviously, a wonderful, wonderful way. But I don't know how you perceive marriages in your family and in your friends, circle of your friends, and in your various communities. But and granted, you can never know what's really going on in somebody else's marriage, but I think there's an awful lot of lousy marriages. And people stay in them because of inertia, because of acquiescence, because of fear of being alone. And I don't know. Is it I think most people feel a need to pair up. And that I can see. I do not feel that need as strongly as others do, thank God. Because if I did, as I said, it is difficult as a successful woman in your 30s and beyond to find good men. They do seem to have been snatched up. But there is something so condescending and so retro about this piece that I really felt like I had inadvertently walked into some kind of a time capsule and time traveled my way back to a time in which women knew their place. And that time is gone. It's gone. So maybe marriage doesn't survive. And strangely, often when I was thinking of gay marriage. So now you have gays marrying, and I'm thinking that maybe it's hard to believe that maybe gays would save the institution of marriage. But I think gays being able to marry at exactly the same point that heterosexuals are saying, why bother, might show the fact that it's not trending upwards, marriage. It's not. And that doesn't mean that two people can't live together fully committed to each other. They just don't need the imprimatur of the state or the church. This is what happens when you give people liberty. That women's liberation movement, you see what it did? It liberated all those women, and now look what we got. A fine kettle of fish. Well, taking a break, and I shall return.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
BergBargains.com is your best bet for great deals in the Berg. Log on today for exclusive bargains from your favorite local restaurants like Steelhead Brasserie, Atria's, Verde, Burger, the Pittsburgh Grill Downtown, and the Bangkok Balcony. Sign up for the weekly email update for your chance to win a $100 gift card from the Swickley Spa. The all-new BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains, BergBargains.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Chips.
And I'm Dr. Tim Chips. We have a family dental practice that's been in business for over 35 years.
We have 2 locations in the North Hills. We are in network with most major insurance companies, including United Concordia, Cigna, and UPMC.
Find Chips Dental on the web. Remember, Chips Dental.
I didn't know about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease until I took the wheel and lent my support to Drive for COPD. Help Americans take action against this leading cause of death by logging on to driveforcopd.org to learn more. I'm Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, and I drive for COPD.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen live.
Ray writes, if women married smart, men would be very lonely. I remember, though, and this was when I was in my late 30s, being with some friends, female, here. We were in a house on the south side, and we're talking some really seriously successful, attractive women. I don't know if I should, I won't name names, because I was so astonished at what they all admitted to. They all admitted that they had, in fact, on more than one occasion, pretended that they didn't know something when they were with some guy, for fear that they would look too smart. So these extraordinarily successful women, two of whom, of the four that I'm thinking of, only one is now married. They had all admitted to dumbing down. And I was stunned. I was just stunned. Because to dumb down is to negate yourself. Can you imagine biting your tongue so you didn't appear to be too intelligent or something? Why would you want somebody who would then like you, I mean, when you have presented yourself under false pretenses? And again, the question arises, why would you want any guy who would be threatened in any way by your intelligence? I like to think that my brain is one of the sexiest things about me. But you notice, I ain't dating a lot. Oh, man. Oh, Rich writes, do we ever get to see Jess during your show? I've recently become fond of her top 2 things she couldn't live without.
Wait, what?
Because of the list of our show last week, the top 2 things you couldn't live without. Do you remember what you said they were?
Cats.
Cats. What was number 2?
Potatoes.
Potatoes? I don't think so.
You can prepare them in so many fashions.
It was probably sex.
Yeah, maybe.
It might have been. See, I think this guy is making a play. I've recently become fond of her 2 top things she couldn't live without. Hope to see her. Tell her hello from me. That's from Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Hi, Rich, says Jess, not coming to be seen on camera. She's lovely. What else do I have here? I'm sorry. I'm looking for... somebody sent me a piece written by a woman named Rachel Ragg. This was in the Daily Mail. And, God, here's the little tease for it. I'm not going to read it. I spend a fortune to send my girl to private school so that she'll marry rich and never work. And so what follows is an unashamed confession by Rachel Ragg. Rather than dreaming that her daughter will become a doctor or a lawyer, Rachel Ragg hopes her child will become a stay-at-home mom. All right, well, how about letting the daughter figure that out for herself? But if you're spending a fortune to send your kid to a private school so she'll meet rich kids and marry rich, I think that is sickening myself. I think that is like, just repulsive. I'm sorry. God, I thought we'd moved beyond this. All right. Well, and if that wasn't enough of a, we've got, I'm sorry, guys. I just knocked everything off my mail. So if there was anything there, I'm sorry. It's gone. What I did. Oh, there it is. We've got another little... excuse me. Roger writes, I think polygamy is the way for women to reach their potential. I hope you're not serious here. Avoid burnout and exhaustion and have lifelong friendships. You have time to develop your careers, choose if, when, and how many children to have support of other good women in close proximity. Of course, I'm talking about being one of many wives, but really, as a man and seeing how men are when they speak and act freely, when only other men are around, I can't see why women would have much to do with the majority of us. Do you know the most masculine man? I mean, just man's man. God, I love this guy. He lived next door to me when I lived in Shadyside. He was a contractor. He was a tough customer, like one of these guys. But just, I could eat him up. And he lived with a woman, very much in love with her. But then they broke up at one point. And I remember him coming and sitting in my living room, this dejected, like 280-pound mass of masculinity. And he was just, oh, God. He said, now I'm out there, and I'm sitting in these bars with the guys, and I'm watching how they go after women, and I'm listening to what they say, and I'm thinking, we're disgusting. This is this big masculine guy who hadn't been out on the scene for maybe 10, 15 years, because this was a long-standing relationship he had, and he was sickened by the men and their approach to women, because this big, sweet lunk truly loved a woman. And so he respected women on a certain level. And he's listening to these other lunks and lugs, and he's so put off that he's beside himself. Roger, I got off your thing. P.S. He says, I did propose to you when you were agonizing over whether to watch the World Series or the Packers versus Steelers game a few years ago. My wife didn't mind. Well, I must not have accepted, Roger. And he says, by the way, she makes more money than I do. He also says that if you create a shortage of wives because women simply won't settle, then women would be empowered to dictate the terms of marriage, and the Neanderthals will have no choice but to evolve or die a lonely death. I don't know. So here's the other scandal that's brewing, and I've noticed this, and now the New York Times has noticed it. There was a picture on the front page of, maybe it was the new oops, not going to get to this, I can tell. Hello?
Hi, I wanted to talk to Lynn Cullen. The last time I tried to do it, I think I was too close to the computer.
Okay, well, you're talking to me now.
Oh, I'm talking to you now. Great.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm fine. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm so happy that you talked about the dangers of Marcellus shale drilling. I belong to South Hills area against dangerous drilling, and one thing that they never seem to mention in the Post-Gazette and on those commercials that you see on television is that it is banned in other states. It's banned in Vermont, in Maryland, and there's a moratorium against it in parts of New York. It's banned in France, in Bulgaria, in South Africa, and there are reasons why it's banned. It is dangerous, contrary to what you hear on those commercials that the gas industry puts on television.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you. Absolutely. And we're just going to see more and more of it. So the fire keeps burning down there. Where is that? In Greene County. And the tankers, leave the track in Vandergrift. And all these sort of, as I said, we've made a deal with the devil here. And there will be consequences. That is my sense.
And also, I love your hair.
Oh, you like it going gray?
Oh, I do. I'm so sorry that I ever colored mine. Well, and I met Heather Heidelbaugh when I went to speak against the drilling near our county park downtown, and I told her that I watch your show every Friday evening. And
that's nice. That's
and I'm
good.
Looking forward to it.
Thank
nice
you.
Talking
Thank
with
you. Great to talk to you, too. Well, the caller brings up, yes, that tonight is 4802. And I want to say this. We've been running spots all week for the billion New Voices Pittsburgh's, what is it called? 1 Billion Rising. And this is justice for women in abusive relationships. And there was to be a rally at Market Square at noon, and that has been moved over to the indoors, to the Doubletree Hotel, because Market Square is apparently like an ice rink and not a particularly safe place. So at the 1 billion folks are moving indoors to the Doubletree Hotel. I intend to go over there and just poke my nose in because I've got some other stuff I have to do, but I am going to head over there. Okay? So if that was in your plans, just so you know. But this other thing I want to talk about is I am seeing more and more people using umbrellas during snowstorms. And it looks odd to me. And I guess I want to know why traditionally you don't use an umbrella during a snowstorm, even though snow is a form of precipitation, and when it hits you, it does melt, and you do get wet. So why don't we use umbrellas during snow?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It looks weird.
It does.
I thought it started looking weird. Just recently, I started seeing umbrellas being used in the summer on bright sunny days to shield, as like sun parasols, to shield people from the sun. And I understand that, but that looks weird to me too. You see a lot of Asian people doing that, so that's but others are starting to do that as well. Well, pretty soon we'll be walking around with umbrellas in every kind of weather imaginable. If it's raining, you have an umbrella. If it's sunny, you have an umbrella. If it's snowing, you have an umbrella. And apparently there's a big sort of like discussion going on in the New York Times about it, because a lot of people in New York, when they've been getting hammered with snow this year, have been using umbrellas. And there's a lot of people tweeting about it. Umbrella in the snow, says one tweeter. Just buy a hat. You look ridiculous. Huh. And New Yorkers, explain to me the logic of an umbrella. It doesn't protect you from the snow. Well, it doesn't? I'm confused about this because, I mean, I will never use an umbrella in the snow because I never have, and I ain't going to. And I know it looks odd, but I do want to ask why? Why? It's not like snow doesn't melt. Yeah, you can get wet in a snowstorm. So anyway, but I get it's just going against what everybody knows. But this is turning into a big to-do in the New York Times and I guess elsewhere. Like in my head. I see people with it and I think, what are you doing? William writes, Little did screenwriter William Goldman imagine that when he wrote Follow the Money for All the President's Men, he was simply repeating archaic mating advice. Well, that is, do you know, I cannot tell you how many women have told me that their mothers said to them, it's as easy to fall in love with a rich man as a poor man. Now, I got to tell you, my mother never said such a thing to me. But a lot of mothers do tell their daughters, still, to find a rich man. Did your mother ever tell you that, Jess? No. Yeah, and you sure didn't either.
She told me to find somebody.
A good person.
Who treats his mom well.
Look for the guy who treats his mother well. That's good. That's good. So, I don't know. Listen, guys, I don't know what to do about you, but dumbing women down and having women going back to hunting men, and then the assumption that that's why women are so, girls stab you in the back because you're all after the same guy and you got to get the. So it pits women against women. It makes women into. God, I can't stand it. And there are people who pine for the good old days like that. Jeez. All right, that seems to be it. Potter is on my shit list. He is. Okay, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll be back on Monday, and maybe, who knows, I'll get this down. I've done it now for about 100,000 times, and I think maybe Monday is going to be the day where the show is something so extraordinary that if you missed it, it will be like losing the opportunity of a lifetime. Okay? So you be sure to be here on Monday. No.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.